Welcome to the Happy Lawyer Project. I'm your host, Akoma Moronu, and I created the show to help lawyers find happiness in life with a law degree. Together with my guest, we provide the knowledge, skills, insight, and inspiration that you need to find your own happy. So many of you have asked me for more resources to figure out how to leverage your JD and transition into an alternative career. So on today's show, I'm chatting with Casey Berman. He's the founder of Leave Law Behind. Casey was a former in-house attorney with one of those quote-unquote dreamy in-house tech jobs in San Francisco when he realized he needed to leave the law. Since then, Casey has developed a program to help other lawyers find happiness in life outside of the practice of law. And on today's show, he's going to share his journey, and you'll get to learn more about his program and whether it's the right fit for you. Enjoy! Welcome back to the Happy Lawyer Project, guys. I am super excited to introduce today's guest. He's somebody that you guys have wanted to have on for a really long time. So everybody, welcome Casey Berman to the show. Welcome, Casey.
Hi, thank you. I am so excited to be here. So thank you and to the whole community for having me.
So I'd love if you could just start with a brief description of who you are and what it is that you do.
Yes. Thank you again. Love the Happy Lawyer Project. I just love the vibe, the energy, the brand, what you got here. It's such a fit. And it really fits with what we do at Leave Law Behind because we're about helping unhappy attorneys become happy. I like to say that at Leave Law Behind, we help attorneys become who they wanted to be before they took the LSAT. And really, our community and what we do, our program is a great fit for people who just are not a fit with being an attorney and who are looking, the anxiety and the despair and just the miserableness of being an attorney is too much, and they're looking to transition to an alternative non-law career. We also work with attorneys who are ready for that second stage, like they've had their career as an attorney, they're bored, or maybe they are getting on sort of that miserable spectrum, and now they're looking to do something else. And the one challenge that they really have, both of these sets, is overcoming the fears. How do I leave the law? And really what's out there? What sort of non-law alternative jobs are out there beyond litigation and transaction? So those are the folks that really value and benefit from being part of our community.
So I'd be interested in knowing which one you are. What was your journey? Were you one of the ones who the law didn't end up being what you thought it would be, or you kind of reached the end of your legal career's natural life?
Yeah, more the first. And, I like to take accountability for my actions. That's one, the one thing we can control in life is how we react to it. So I don't want to blame law. I don't want to give it a bad name. We're not here to bash it, as easy as that may be. But really, I say tongue in cheek and also in all seriousness. I was a Jewish kid who didn't like blood. I didn't apply to medical school. I applied to law school. That really was the level of critical thought that I put into applying to law school back in 96 when I graduated Cal, and I ended up going to UC Hastings here in San Francisco. And so, I thought I was on an outlier there, but I speak with so many people across so many nationalities, ethnicities, you name it. And they all say the same thing, I'm fill in the blank, I'm from here, I'm this background, this religion, and I just went. So many of us just went. And so it really wasn't law's fault. It really was me not doing the critical thinking about what I'm good at, what I want to do in life, what I want to be when I'm an adult, just kind of going into law because. And there came a point 5 years in, I had a plum job, software licensing work, but I realized that it just wasn't a fit for me. And I left and started my journey. So I wasn't really at that miserable level yet. But after 5 years in, I said, you know what, this isn't a fit. And I was listening to that inner voice, my soul, and I left.
What was that? How long did that take? Because I think that a lot of people literally go up at law school and hear that voice, and other people are partners practicing right now listening to that voice. So people hear that voice, and some people listen to it, and others just let it continue to sound the alarms. Right. When did you first get the inkling, and how long did it take you to make that transition?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you're right. Some people it takes 20 minutes, 20 seconds, and some people it takes 20 years, unfortunately, to where they act. For me, it was in the beginning. I taking the LSAT class was on Sundays. Back in college, my beloved 49ers were good then. They played on Sundays. I got really angry saying my LSAT class is getting in the way of my football viewing. So I was off to a bad start to begin with and just really didn't connect with UC Hastings. I should have taken some time off from college, but I just plowed through. That's what you're supposed to do. And I went to law school. I didn't want to apply again. So really, I mean, from the beginning, I did not feel connected with it. You fast forward, tried a few things. I didn't pass the bar the first time. I had to take it the second time and I passed. Got into tech here in San Francisco in 2000, kind of found my way in the in-house department of a tech company, did software licensing, and I was starting to get a handle of it, but still felt the imposter syndrome, kind of a fraud. I had outside counsel doing a lot of the work. I was doing negotiating, but here I am, late 20s, negotiating with counsel of top law firms for our redlining tool and saying, I'm faking it. And when it really accelerated, I was in the job about 3 years. To get to your question, I was in the job about 3 years and I said 3.5. And I said, I need to get out. That was a threshold moment for me. It still took me another 18 months, a year and a half before I actually left. And I remember saying, what took me so long? But really at the point, I'm an adult, I'm making money, I'm on my own. And I had that moment, that oh my God, aha moment. It still took me a year and a half to get the courage, overcome the fears, and find some sort of plan to literally exit the law.
I'm going to keep diving into this because I find these stories so interesting.
Yeah.
What did you do during that time? Were you talking to people? Were you doing some personal inner work? What was that 18 months of work? What did that entail for you?
Yeah. So I'm happy to say now at Leave Law Behind, we have a career coaching program, kind of the first online program that helps people to leave the law. And then I'm there hand-holding people throughout interactivity with me. This program is really built on what I did during those 18 months. That's why this program, what we do at Leave the Law Behind, is so personal to me. It's like a real reflection of the trial and error and all the hacking I did. And so during those 18 months, I didn't really know it at the time, but one, I had to overcome my fears, which is really module 1 of our program. I mean, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. I want to leave, but then just got pulled back into the quicksand of, you're a Jewish kid. Jews should be lawyers. What will your mom say? What will your friends say? How will you deal with disappointment? I was getting married. I was engaged. I was getting married. What are you going to do? How do you have the talk with your significant other? How are you going to make money? How are you going to deal with stature? You're here in San Francisco. Everyone's a professional. What are you going to do? I mean, the fears and fears. So overcoming those fears, overcoming, what am I going to call myself now that I'm not an attorney? What the heck are you going to call yourself? Yeah, there's some cool titles out there, but you don't really know what those are. Money, how am I going to, that's module 3 of the program. Really, how am I going to make money? What is money really? What is this thing called money? I've got these ideas about money. They're kind of fear-based. Money doesn't grow on trees, no pain, no gain. What is money? I ran into the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad at the time, not a Pulitzer Prize winning and best written book, but it really kind of pulled the curtain as to what was out there beyond just a W-2 job. And then I started thinking, and I don't know how I came to this, but I started thinking about what I now call my unique genius. It was, all right, Casey, what are you really good at? If you're not connecting with this plum legal job that everyone in the world on paper says you should keep, what are you good at? How do you add value to the world? And so during those 18 months, I really struggled a lot. I had a lot of bumps and bruises with, what am I afraid of? How will I shed this identity and become something new? What's my relationship like with money? And then what am I good at? How will I add value to, I don't even know what the non-law jobs are out there. Before I even do that research, what do I think I'm good at? So it was really a lot of that struggle during those 18 months, and I've continued to do it. But that's kind of what I toiled with during that time before I had the courage to leave. And I'll tell you, when I left in June of 2004, I still didn't have all that worked out, but I had enough worked out. I had enough courage. I had enough of my unique genius. It was half-baked, but it was baked enough for me to feel confident moving forward. And that was huge. And I bring that up because we're such perfectionists. We have to be when we're writing briefs and turning things in. There can't be a typo, but also just that's bled into who we are, our identity, and our personal lives. And one of the major shifts I was able to make to make me happy was to kind of shed and get over this need to be a perfectionist in menial things, and then also kind of in this broader vision of what I wanted for my life. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's amazing that you were able to kind of work through a lot of that on your own, and why your program is probably so helpful to the people who go through the program is that all of that I can't even imagine working through all that while trying to do your job. It feels like it takes up so much emotional strain just trying to figure out what you need to figure out. And So you said that the program starts with facing the fears. So I just want to clarify whether people need to have kind of already decided that they want to leave the law altogether to be a good fit for this program.
So it's a great question. And the short answer is no. That kind of goes to the perfectionism. And people say to me, Casey, I'm thinking about it. But once I decide I really want to leave, then I'll move forward. And I always tell them, you're not going to decide. Because when are you going to have that fit? I've gauged this metric in my life. I've gauged that. Now is the time. I mean, one of the fears that we have is this return on investment, this ROI. I spent a lot of time in law school. You see where I'm going, right?
Yep.
I spent a lot of time in law school. I've got these student loans. I've got 6.5 years as a lawyer. I'm going to give it a little more time as a lawyer. And then I paused right there. I stopped him and I said, okay, when do you know? When a stock has returned investment, you want to make X, it hits that price, you make the margin, sell. There's your return, right? You can't do that with your life. And so anyone who's saying, Casey's great, thanks, and so on, but I'm going to give it a little more time, you can, but I'll tell you that if you're looking for some sort of sign or ticker or Jim Cramer at Mad Money to tell you to sell, it doesn't happen. And so if someone came to me and said, Casey, when do I know I should join your program? I would say, or even or move forward on your own, I would say, do it now. If anything, there was one woman who went through our program, was so energized by unique genius and overcoming fears. She actually stayed in law, made her practice better, automated her processes, fired a bunch of clients, and is making more money now and working less. And she stayed in the law. So, and then there are the people who start the program, they do it in parallel, and within 3 months, we have a leave the law in 100 days. You literally can leave within 90 days. You start seeing what's behind the curtain. The emperor has no clothes. And you say, you know what? I kind of jumped in this half-baked. I wasn't totally certain if I wanted to leave the law. And we'll either do one of two things. We'll reconfirm for you that your love is in the law and you should stay here or go to a smaller firm or do another practice. Or, and this is more than likely, if you have that little angst, that kernel of angst that you want to leave the law, we're going to show you what's out there in the world. You're going to get so excited about it, so courageous about it, you're going to find that non-law alternative job, which, by the way, Leave Law Behind graduates they're in marketing, they're in tech, they're in government, head of a state committee in a Pacific Northwest state, they're in consulting, they're in sales. It's across the board.
Yeah, let's dive into that because I was, reading through all those success stories that you have. And one of the things I often see with people who reach out to me and ask me about what I think about them leaving the law, which I don't know why they want my opinion, but I'm happy to give it. They're like, well, I'm a real estate attorney and I'm thinking of going, becoming a property manager, or I'm thinking of becoming a real estate agent, or maybe, and I'm like, you could do other stuff.
Right.
So I'd love if you could talk on that a little bit about how people go through the process. And I think you're going to go back to your kind of zone of genius and how you leverage that, but how you go through that process and kind of what have people been able to discover in that process?
No, you hit the nail right on the head. The question, what should I do, is not the question we ask. That will be answered. That'll come. The question is, what am I good at? What is my unique genius? And a lot of attorneys will say, they'll do a strengths finders test or something like that, which are great. But sometimes at the end of the results, it says, and you should be a judge. It's like, no, I want to leave the law, right? Or you should be a forest ranger. Well, sounds nice, but not really. What we do is we flip things on its head, and we're not looking at what should I do, because really that's what we've been doing all along. What should I do? What job should I get? What's the most secure, stable salary? And we turn around and empower ourselves by saying, what am I good at? And people will say, Casey, that's great, but I want the jobs. And I'll say, look, I want to know what jobs to go. I'll say, you have to hold on. You don't need to hold on for years. Hold on for a few days or a week or a month as we process this. But once you nail down your unique genius, it's those skills and strengths that you really get at. It's really 3 elements. What you're really good at. And I'm going to unpack that in a second. 2, what you really enjoy, because sometimes you can be good at something and not really good at it. So you want to enjoy it. And then 3, you want to then find a job that you align with, the purpose of which you're connected with, you believe in. When you get those 3, you are connected, you're aligned, which is kind of my definition of happiness, which we can get into later. So for someone who will come to you and say, what should I do? The first question is, what are you good at? And we take you through the program. We really, with some very simple exercises, can help you kind of understand what this is. For sports fans out there, it's like your own little scouting report. It's a narrative of what you're good at and the value that you provide. And then once you kind of look in the mirror and go, wow, I like this narrative of me. One, you see that the job description of being an attorney doesn't fit it. And two, you then, and we have jobs, we're always curating real life jobs that are out there. You then see the jobs that are out there that are a really great fit. So I'll give you an example. A woman a few years ago, a 42-year-old, 2 kids in San Francisco. We work nationwide, but in San Francisco, has bills to pay, can't just take off and find any job that doesn't pay, really has to make a salary. Big law for 4 years with federal and this isn't on the success stories. This is someone else. Federal prosecutor for 12, 13 years. And said, look, if I need to do this for another 20 years before I can retire, my eyes are going to bug out. I can't do it. So we went through her unique genius. We didn't focus on jobs yet. We really went through what are you good at? And what we realized was she was managing these big RICO cases. I mean, traveling across the country, mentoring young associates, doing high-level presentations, meeting in front of very important people, judges, opposing counsel, stakeholders. And what we really found was her skill set, her unique genius was quote unquote air traffic control. She kept everything in motion, everything safe, everything going, herding the cats, if you will. And she liked that unique genius. That really resonated with her. She really liked that story. So then she said, okay, well now what the heck can I do with it? And what we explored were jobs in supply chain, logistics, procurement. She didn't even know what procurement was. Fast forward, she's the head of operations, vendor management for a tech company that sells clothes online. She makes sure, among other many things, clothes get from point A to point B to point C so they can be sold in time. She manages the vendors. She loves it. She loves it. So federal prosecutor in the Ninth Circuit becomes a tech company? Absolutely.
It's like you read my mind. That's literally my favorite part of my job is managing all of the details. I'm like, should I be a logistics?
Right.
It's
you and I need to talk more, but yeah, absolutely. And then the company sells clothes. She loves fashion and clothes, so she just gobbles it up. Even if she worked to say at a company that didn't sell clothes, I think she would still enjoy it. But then you kind of throw in, she really loves what this company does. Voila. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful example of how to think more creatively about kind of your strengths and how they transition into the real world. And I don't know why lawyers really struggle with this, but I find that that's a real obstacle. So when does the jobs part come in? How does that get built into the process?
So that's module 5. That's the last module purposefully. And people have said, Casey, give me the jobs. And once someone joins a program or talks with me, they can see it, but it doesn't make sense. What is a technical writer, Casey? Well, what is a project manager? What is a data visualization storyteller? I mean, these are real jobs, by the way. People pay money for them. What is executive storyteller? What is PR really? What is communications? So there's a ton of jobs that we're constantly updating that are out there. Some of them some of them are just new jobs that are a fit. And granted, these are not jobs like chemical engineer. That's not on the list because an attorney, save some patent attorney who's got a engineering background. But for the most part, we do a very focused job on highlighting jobs and careers that would really fit with our skills and strengths. And there's a ton that we have. But we're also realistic. Chemical engineer is not on the list, unless you want to go back and get education, which you really don't to really create a great career. But when you really get that unique genius and you go, okay, what we've done is we've been able to really bucket this unique genius into some different ways to describe it. It could be, there's 11 that we've detailed. It could be air traffic control. It could be wonkish to get the details done person. It could be, one of them is the puzzle piecer investigator, taking disparate pieces of information and putting it together. One is the interpersonal leader. There's kind of these personality areas that it's a structure, a skeleton, if you will, for people to kind of hang their unique genius narrative on. And once they look at, I'm an air traffic control and I'm also visionary insight person. I like those two. That's me. That's what great. We've got in module 5 where we go to jobs, we then have job and job areas that call for those skill strengths. So you'd look at vision and you say strategy consultant, design thinker. Whoa, what is that? Those are actual jobs. And then we start pursuing them, you understand them. We then show you, how do you I introduce people from my network to them. Other Leave Law Behind members connect other people with them. And then you're really pounding the pavement, doing informational interviews. We've got scripts for you. One thing that I'm so proud of is we've identified the top 21 non-law jobs. And our resume whisperer, Carly Steinbaum, she's big law out of LA, started her own recruiting company called DeNovo. It's a fantastic app that you can download on your phone. It's great. That helps you. It's kind of like a kind of Bumble for finding jobs in a confidential way. Fantastic app. But she came and wrote resumes for us. There are non-law job Word doc resumes in plain English waiting for you to customize. So you find that job, we help you with informational interviews. This is really where the rubber hits the road, and you've kind of done that touchy-feely, overcome your fears, identity, money, I understand what I'm good at. Then we help you get right in there and get job interviews. And so I don't really want people pursuing jobs until they've got their unique genius down. And I've had recruiters come to me and say, send me people. And I purposely haven't done that and turned down potentially a lot of money because I don't want to send people from a law job they don't like into an alternative job they don't like. Hey, I do law and biz dev is kind of like what lawyers do. I'll jump into that. Maybe, but I really want you to do that thoughtfulness. And it doesn't need to take forever. You could get the unique genius done part in a few weeks. I want you to do that thoughtfulness. So when you're applying to jobs at the end of the spectrum, you're doing it with an intention and knowing this is a fit with your unique genius and not just because. I'll give you another example. There's a company that reached out to us that wants lawyers for non-law jobs. They just reached out to us. They found us. I was just overjoyed and over the moon. There are a few attorneys that are on their second callback right now, and one of them is a woman, left the law, went into library science. She's a data geek. She's kind of teaching herself how to code, former attorney. And they've got this legal engineering job that's kind of like this translation layer, helping the engineers at their company build software for their attorney end users. She's going to be, if she gets a job, this translation layer. She can speak legal talk. She's got EQ, and she can also kind of geek out on data with non-lawyer engineers who are actually building the software. That's when it really happens, and you jump into a career that you're happy, that's aligned, connected. So I hope I didn't talk your ear off, but I get so excited about this, and I hope that kind of that's when the job area comes in.
No, I love your enthusiasm, and I think that type of passion is what everyone should have about what they're talking about their jobs and what they're doing with their, with their life's work.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it. I just want to ask one last question before we dive into the next section, because I know that you touched on it a little, and I just want to manage expectations around this. I actually don't know the answer to this. And there are a lot of mindset issues. And one of them, you talk about whether it's getting rid of the lawyer label or the fear around being able to earn as a non-lawyer. Do you feel that people kind of have conquered that by the time they leave, or they've learned to manage it? Or where are people in the transition of dealing with those kind of internal battles once they finish?
Yeah, it's great. They're very difficult. Very difficult. One, I want to call myself a lawyer still. Casey, how in the heck do I do that? Two, money. How will I make? So there's two things. For the most part, when people leave the law, whether they're out, and this is possible, 3 months, 6 months, and I'll be honest with you, some people are still in the program after 2 years. I just got an email from someone who is just had a non-law interview, and there's just a ton of fears. And that's why we provide lifetime access. You take as long or as little as you want. We kind of keep the fire under you, but it does take time, and we sort of go at your own pace, even though we're keeping you accountable. So, but let's first talk about identity, which we have a whole module about it, module 2. I'm going to give a secret that hopefully will make everyone feel better, which is you can have your cake and eat it too. What I mean by that is if you were to leave the law, and you're talking to Casey Berman, Mr. Leave Law Behind, I still pay my California bar dues. One, I have a Jewish mother, and two, it's a donation to the community. But there's part of me that I like that cachet of still being a lawyer. So I still pay my X hundred, whatever, $400 a year, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be a member of the bar because, right? I can't really explain it. I'm Mr. Leave Law Behind. But where you can have your cake and eat it too is all the cachet that you want from being an attorney. You're smart, you work hard, you make a lot of money, whatever it is that makes you feel good. Because really, all we're really after is a feeling. We watch TV, we eat ice cream. We do that because we want a feeling. We do anything in life because we want that feeling. So the feeling you get from being an attorney and having people know you're an attorney, you can have that good feeling even if you're not necessarily technically practicing law. They'll see on LinkedIn you went to law school. They'll see that you were a lawyer. It'll come up at a cocktail party. You'll bring it up. Hey, so when I was a lawyer, oh my God, she's a lawyer? And if you wear glasses like I do, they think you're doubly smart. So the way to really do this is to say that I can remain a lawyer in the sense all of the cachet that I get from being an attorney, I can still get if I were to leave. It's there. I get it all the time. And the other thing is non-lawyers really don't know what happens in a law firm. They see it from TV, but to this day, they really don't know. So that halo is still there. Okay, let's talk money. Money is this taboo topic. We've all got a ton of loans. We've grown up with this mindset of money, no pain, no gain. Money is limited. There's only so much money in the world. And through the program, we really flip this. This is touchy-feely, but this is so important to a level of abundance, realizing that there is so much abundance in the world. The stock market, even though it's down, is at 23,000. I think when Obama took over, it was at 8,000. Where did this 16,000 points come from? Did someone from outer space bring this? We created it here. It's created. It's perception. It's emotion. 16,000 points in the stock market was just created. The world is abundant. There is so many all of the jobs that are out there now in the world didn't exist. There's so many jobs now that didn't exist 10 years ago, 50. We are constantly creating. So once realizing that we're not limited. But I will tell you, the hard and fact truth in a good way is that there are so many ways to make money beyond the billable hour. And if you do the math. I'll never forget back in 2004, a plumber came to fix my sink at my condo in San Francisco and charged me $95 an hour. Back a long time ago, 2004. It's probably even more now. And I remember I did the math. I said, wait a minute, that's $100 an hour. If I make $200,000 a year, which is a good salary even in the big cities, if I make $200,000 a year, and let's say you're working more, but let's assume I work 2,000 hours in that year. You're obviously working more, but not bill, but work, you're making $100 an hour. And if you work 2,500 hours to bill 2,000 hours, you're making $75 an hour. I want everyone to really realize this. This is going to hurt, and then it's going to be liberating. We lawyers don't make that much money. We don't make that much money. Not only that, we don't realize that there are so many other ways to make money out there. Creating a product, licensing, joint ventures that are beyond just the billable hour, beyond salary. You've got revenue sharing. You've got bonuses. There's so many ways to make money. So to recap, 1, you can have your cake and eat it too. Even if you leave the law, you can still have the cachet of being a lawyer. And 2, from a money standpoint, 1, you'll probably make more money per hour and enjoy your life more if you were to find a non-law alternative career. And 2, there are so many ways to make money in non-law and alternative careers that you can be a part of. Many Leave Law Behind members have taken a pay cut initially to go into the job they love, and then soon thereafter, they're getting promoted, they're going to non-law job number 2, and they're making the same or if not more than they did as a lawyer. So I hope that touches on kind of those 2 real taboo points that you brought up.
I love it, and I love that you touched on abundance because, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, money is a real focus of the Happy Lawyer Project this year because I know that it's such a big hang-up for so much of my audience at whatever stage or career of their career that they're in. And it's something that I love to talk about. It's something I'm very passionate about. And I'm such a big believer in the fact that money is abundant and that we can create value and that if you do something of value, you deserve to have money flow in your direction. And so if you can figure out what that thing of value is, then you'll always have money.
That's it. Yes. You're going to blog about leaving the law, create a coaching practice, and then how are you going to make money, Casey? It's when you show how you add value and really, I hate to sound like a Disney movie, but follow your heart. It doesn't happen overnight, but you do. You know what's so ironic to me is Disney movies, Hollywood, everywhere around us, we see all of these messages. Follow your heart. Don't follow the system. Unplug from the matrix. We see it all, and we walk out. We nod our head in the movie theater. We walk out, and 4 seconds later, we forget, and we go back into this mindless, have to do what boss says otherwise, boss will eat me alive, and we lose that connection. What I know you're trying to do, and what I'm trying to do for people who should leave the law, is to keep that connection going further so they can really connect with their soul, as opposed to letting it go.
It's the same. I've had that same feeling about like those really lame Instagram quotes. Like some of them are really deep, meaningful things, and sometimes people post them and as trite kind of cliches. Yeah. And I'm like, you're not really reading what you're posting, because I know the life you're leading and I know the things you're complaining about in your life, and you're posting this like abundance, like, message when you are completely living in scarcity, and that cognitive dissonance is prevalent.
It is. And no, you bring up a great point. And, I really applaud you for focusing on money head on. It's something that we don't talk about. And when you think, and it's one thing to consume information, it's another thing to intend and act on it. And, when you think of the real enlightened people in history, MLK, Gandhi, Jesus, Buddha, there's a lot of people who aren't as famous. But when you really think, religious aside, political affiliation aside, these were people who really had faith in what they believed in, who saw for the greater good, and really lived those Instagram posts. And those are the people whose writings and teachings, if you really internalize, but they did the hard work. It wasn't just speeches. I mean, they had many hours of doubt and looking in the mirror in their lives. And that's, it doesn't mean that you need to spend your years in struggle, but getting the help from you, joining a community like we do, or finding a way to do this on your own is a path that not many people take. But for instance, working with you on facing your money issues, or like we do in the program as well, it's a path not many take, but once you take it and really do the work for it, it is, it doesn't even encapsulate rewarding. It's life-changing.
Absolutely. I always say to my audience that dreaming brings inspiration, but action brings clarity. And you cannot get clarity of vision around your life until you do something.
Right.
And so I completely agree.
Right. And I learned, I had to start selling my project, and the S word is a bad word. No one likes to sell. We don't want to be salespeople, whether we're lawyers or business people. Some of us have hangups. I know I did. But I heard a quote which said, if you really believe in your product or service, or you believe in yourself as a person with a resume, you have a moral obligation to sell to sell this, or to sell yourself. Really, imagine if Gandhi did not leave the law. Yeah, people tell me, well, I have my clients to help, and he would help one-on-one attorneys in 1930 South Africa. Instead, the population of India at the time was 480 million, I think, not the billion it was now. He could either work with clients one-on-one in South Africa, where he was an attorney, or help free almost 500 million Indians from colonial rule. But talk about self-doubt, talk about like, oh my God, what are my parents going to think? Imagine if he had given in to his fears.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that we conceptualize of adding value in such a narrow way. And to the point you were making earlier, that there is just so many ways you can add value once, and it can be easier. I think that's the real thing. It can be easier to add value in a way that makes you happy if you're doing it within your genius, right?
That's right. And Adam Ouellette, he's my business partner, attorney from Florida for 20 years. Fantastic guy. He's in Asheville, North Carolina, in our office there. And he approached me in 2015 out of nowhere and said, hey, we're working together. And he's just been my soul brother ever since. An attorney, former attorney himself. And he told me to create a course. And I remember saying, I'm not creating an online program. No one's going to use it. I want to work with people. And he said, do you want to help 5 people a year, or do you want to help 5,000 people a year? And it really hit home about, do I, Casey Berman, little old me in San Francisco, want to step up and help people and take my teachings and put it online into this technology thingamajiggy? Or do I want to just kind of keep toiling along, doing 101? And I told him, I said, fine, I'll create this program, but I need to still be in touch with people. And he said, fine. Use Zoom webinar, have live trainings twice a month, get in touch with people that way, and do, and I said, deal. And it's just worked out great. People can work on their own pace and then also connect with me. We have 150 people in the program. And I also get to work with people one-on-one. We have live trainings twice a month. But that was a real moment for me. That was my Gandhi moment, if you will, on a much smaller scale of like, wow, do I really? And people have joined, and that the need is there. And so that's been humbling for me. And I'm still stepping into this leadership role. I still have my moments of like, who the heck am I? But then you asked me for the podcast interview, which I'm grateful for. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a like-minded community out there to help me, to support me, that I can work with. And I'll be honest, I'm not all alone doing this. I've got a lot of support, and that's helped me.
So I think that's a great transition to the next segment, which is the happiness hot seat. So these are going to be some quick fire questions that I'm going to fire at you just so we can get a little bit more about Casey.
Oh, okay.
All right. So number one, how do you deal with indecision?
Wow. You're a fantastic question writer. Seriously. Great. You're an interview. There's your unique genius. You and I can talk later. How do I deal with indecision? So I used to just push it away, let it sit. Oh, this will play out. That was delaying. And what I realized is that indecision is really just resistance. And I realized that I can't, if something is coming up and I'm resisting it, guess what? It's going to win out. And that's not a bad thing. And so what I do now, indecision, when it comes to me, oh, should I do this or should I do that? I know what I should do immediately. Doesn't mean I do it right away, but the answer, once I realize that I'm accountable, I'm resisting it, I know the answer. And then it's about, all right, Casey, are you going to have the courage to move forward? I'll give you two examples. One was I went to Cal Berkeley. I took my 8-year-old son over there a few weeks ago. We had a great time, saw a basketball game. Cal lost, but still they'll rebuild. But he has a lot of toys. There was a stuffed animal there. He's got so many stuffed animals. And I could tell, though, that this had meaning because it was Cal. I went to Cal. I'm his father, and I bought it for him, even though his sister and my wife looked at me like, are you crazy? But I didn't resist it for the normal reasons. You're a spoiled kid. You don't need it. I knew there was more meaning to this stuffed animal than there was. That's how I thought it through. And I moved forward and I bought it. On a broader one, I had to pay Carly money to build those resumes. And I said, should I pay money? Should I do this? I love Carly, but come on, this isn't going to be. And I just said, I know I need to do this. Resumes, plain English resumes are a huge blocker for attorneys. And I sucked it up. I found the money. I was able to pay Carly. And the resumes are one of the hugest things ever in the Leave Law Behind program. People are using all the time. So I had this indecision, but I knew what the answer was. Of course I'm going to get Carly to do this. This is groundbreaking. But my resistance was, it's a lot of money, I don't know, will people like it? But I knew the answer, and it was about me really finding the courage to move forward.
That's one of my favorite answers I've heard. So number two, what do you do or how do you prioritize your own happiness?
So let's first define happiness. And one of the ways that I define it, Mark Manson has this quote that happiness is the process of becoming your ideal self. It's not the Jeffersonian pursuit and get it. It's not Madison Avenue, buy this Lexus, you'll be happy. Those don't work. It's a process. And it's not sexy, a process, really, Casey. Like, I want to buy happiness. I want to get it. But really, for me, a process means it's just ongoing. It's constant. It's the sun around the moon. It's the ebb and flow. It's just the seasons. It's ongoing. And so how do I prioritize this process? I do it throughout the day. I do it every minute. I don't have incense and meditation, but there are times where I just pause. I catch my breath, or I cancel out of fear and replace it with a new one. What I don't do is I don't at 10:47 p.m. take 4 minutes and that's my happy time because I know I'm going to fall asleep. I do it when I'm washing dishes. I do it in the car. I do it when I run my dog in the morning. But I try to take these baby steps and really understand this process of becoming my ideal self. And that could be my daughter is asking for something. I'm getting annoyed, but realize she's asking for it not to be annoyed with me, not to make me annoyed. She's not malicious. She's doing it because she wants some freedom as she's growing older. Casey, take a step back, take a breath, should be empathetic. That is like what I'm doing hopefully second by second. And I slip. I mean, there are times where I come back going, oh God, how did I get in such a bad mood? Well, I didn't prioritize. So I'm trying to prioritize or at least be in touch with this process throughout the day.
That's great. I mean, what I hear from you is that you prioritize happiness by making it a priority, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Number 3, what is a mindset shift that transformed your life?
I made happiness not this big bad thing you do at the end and overwhelming and you keep putting off, but I just made it small, bite-sized throughout the day. Just to add what you said, I liked how you put it. The mindset shift, Adam taught me this. Adam Millett, my business partner, there's 2 emotions in life, fear and love. That's it. Everything else stems from those. And love is not just platonic, not just romantic love, but it's alignment, it's collaboration, it's what we're talking about right now. I mean, you and I have got such good energy right now. It's all of that, right? It's in the zone. And fear is everything else. Fear is anxiety, depression, feeling out of sorts, the shoulds, feeling lost potential. And when Adam told me that and taught me about that, now it gave me this duality that life is the duality. There's a trough and a crest to every wave. There has to be. There's a winter and there's a summer. But I realized that when I'm feeling anxiety, it was because it's the absence of love. And I literally can make a choice to go from, oh my God, I sent this email out. I think I annoyed my community with this email, to going, it's okay. If people email me back and they didn't like it, I'll hear. It's a learning moment. Maybe it's controversial. Maybe people are going to like that I push the envelope here. And it's really that duality and having it be stark for me was really a mindset shift that has transformed my life over the past few years.
Great. Number 4, name a book that has inspired your journey.
So Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Good one. Love that book.
From the beginning, about money. I think Jen Sincero, Badass About Money. Phenomenal. Yep. Easy read. The Disappearance of the Universe. Way out there. I've been talking about lately, it's just, I'll say it at that, the Disappearance of the Universe, a whole new way to look at spirit and meaning of life. 2 more, Heart Math, which you can find on Audible. It is about connecting with our heart beyond just being stuck in our brain. And the last book is The $1 Million One-Person Business by Elaine Poe Felt. You can find it on Scribd, or Audible, but it's all about, which has really inspired me, how with technology nowadays, to have $1 million revenue business, you can do it on your own with the support around you.
Wonderful list. A couple I've read, a couple I haven't. I'm looking forward to digging into those. Number 5, what do you think separates lawyers who are happy from lawyers who struggle to find happiness in life with a law degree?
Yeah, this is an extremely important question. I have a very terse answer for you. The reason you think you're unhappy, there's the use as a lawyer. This is for the lawyer listening now who hates their lawyer job, wants out, throwing, writing bad notes about their boss. I hate my client. I hate it. This for you. There's the usual suspects of why you think you don't like being a lawyer. The long hours, the anxiety, the imposter syndrome. I hate my boss. I hate my clients. I hate the firm, all of that. Here's the real reason why you don't like being an attorney. And it's okay. There is not an alignment at all, or a very good alignment between your skills and strengths, what you do well, what you like doing, and the job description of an attorney. I'll say that one more time. The main reason why you don't like being a lawyer is that your skills and strengths do not fit with what they're asking you to do in the job description of an attorney. You could be a collaborative, good energy team player, and now you're sitting by yourself behind Word docs all day doing adversarial litigation. You could be a visionary creative type, and you're sitting all day behind a Word doc, taking templates and copying and pasting them to do NDAs and licensing agreements. That's it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't get down. Just use this to say, oh my God, there's not a fit at all, or there's not a good fit. Understand what you're good at and find jobs that fit. That's how I would answer that question.
Love it. That makes perfect sense to me, because I always say that, happiness is alignment with how you live, with who you are. So that fits. Yes. Perfectly. Last section, I like to bring some listeners into the show. So I just want to ask a quick question that I got from Amanda on Instagram. And Amanda wants to know, how versatile is a JD without a law license?
Very. So in the Leave Law Behind program, Tracy Wang, who left, she's on the success story. She left big law in DC, has gone into project management in online and education space. And a lot of people said, yeah, but she went to a big law firm. She's big law. She had a pedigree and so on. And I can tell you that it didn't really matter to the hiring manager in a non-law alternative career that Tracy had a big law firm on her resume. They don't know. They don't really know. I mean, they know Amazon, they know Google, they know Facebook, but they really, Baker McKenzie, maybe nobody really knows. So I say that because if you are not licensed technically licensed really doesn't matter. It may matter if the job you're applying to is some sort of hybrid and they require a law license, which would be very unlikely. Again, what they're looking for, a job description is a company admitting they have a pain. It's a call for help. Hey, fill this gap for us. That's all it is. And here's what we need you to fill. And here's hopefully the superhero, the capabilities you can bring to us. And so really they're after your unique genius. They're after, do they trust you? Do they like you as a person? And what skills and strengths do you have? I think they would be I don't even think they even know about license. Now, if they're coming to you for legal advice, for help, yeah, they want to know you're licensed and so on. But as far as hiring you to be a project manager or head of operations at a non-law company, being licensed, I'd be very surprised if anyone held that up as a requirement for the job.
Great answer. Before I let you go, what's the best way for people to follow you and learn more about the program?
Yeah, would love to have you visit us. I know you're going to put a link here and on the page, but you can go to the link in the notes. I know they're elsewhere on the Happy Lawyer Project, but go to leavelawbehind.com, click on the link that you see below here, and we'll take you to a quiz. We put together a free quiz. It's a lot of fun. We have a video, Adam and I. You can see the video. We describe what the quiz is about. And really what this quiz is about, it's very in a beginning stage of letting you answer some questions to give you an idea of what it even takes to leave the law. We're not even getting into, fears and unique genius. We didn't even go there. We want to give you just kind of that introductory, you've got some burning questions. You've got there might be some myths around it. We want to have a nice quiz that you can go through step by step. It just takes a few seconds to take. We have results at the end, but click on the link that you see below here on the page. It'll take you to leavelawbehind.com. Watch the video, click the start the quiz button, and then you can be part of the community. And we've got a number of other free resources for you after that. And then if you think it's a fit, we'll introduce you to Leave Law Behind Career Coaching Program, and you can sign up directly with us or schedule a call with me. But click the link that you see below this and get started.
Awesome. Yep. So I will include all of that in the show notes so you guys can take that quiz and check out the program, because I think it's a wonderful resource for those of you who are considering leaving the law. So thank you so much, Casey. This has been such a blast. I really enjoyed having you on and having you share your story with us today.
Honored, flattered. I love building awareness around this. I'm just really big thanks to you for taking the time and to the whole community for listening. But we can really help. And there's that ideal self for you. Maybe the person you imagined before you took the LSAT, you can still kind of reclaim it, which is really exciting.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you got value out of this episode and you think there's someone else who might enjoy it, I'd love for you guys to share. And if you have any questions for me, please head over to the website at thehappylawyerproject.com and you can leave me a voicemail right on the website. When you get there, you'll see a little tab on the right hand of the screen and you can click on it and leave a voicemail there. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. Last but not least, if you enjoy this podcast and you like the content that I'm bringing to you guys and you haven't done so already, I would really encourage you guys to head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and review. That's all for this week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening.